Oh, well, hey there, neighbor. Man, you've been gone out of town for a couple of weeks now, hadn't you? Well, it's good to see you back again. Hey, man, let me tell you something. Hey, that house across the street, uh, somebody bought it and they moved in a couple of weeks ago. And the guy's kind of different, man. I'm not sure what to think about him. I'm kind of worried. He seems kind of odd. I did a little research after I found out his name, and I was doing some checking, and boy, he has a hell of a background. Um, he's, there's a whole lot of reports that he's been accused of cruelty, I think to animals and to people, and apparently he's had a history of pretty serious anger control, with anger control, and so he's definitely got serious anger control issues. And man, I tell you, I talked to the guy, and man, he is so stuck on himself. He is just about the biggest narcissist that I think I've ever run across. Oh, and he hates fags. He fucking hates queers. I mean, he fucking has said that they all ought to die, and just all kinds of crazy shit. And then also, um, I'm not exactly sure what it's all about, but I'm pretty sure that he believes that cannibalism is okay, and would have no issues with cannibalism, people being cannibals. Um, it's also when I was kind of doing some checking on him after I learned about the guy, I discovered that he has a history of violence, and he also has a pretty lengthy record of deception. And so, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. This guy, he's our neighbor now, and man, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. What do you think? Well, I wasn't talking to a neighbor, and nobody moved in across the street. The person I was talking about was God. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to try and be fairly brief and explore the mental state or mental situation, and the kind of the psychological well-being of God. And so far, I'm coming up with some pretty scary fucking shit, man. And let me tell you how I came across this. Okay, God is deceptive. I mean, he absolutely is deceptive. In the first book of the Bible, he and let me say something else. He's all powerful, all knowing, can do any fucking thing in the universe. But his first choice is to, well, he creates a universe, and I guess he doesn't know what to do then, and he's bored. But this God that built the universe also built some very weak human beings, and didn't even make them smart. In fact, they're as dumb as a fucking rock, both of them. I mean, he hell, I'm not sure exactly how they could be smart, since he made one of them out of dust, and then he stole a rib out of one to make the other one. So I don't know what the fuck that shit's all about. That just sounds crazy to me. But but this God took these two people, put them in the Garden of Eden without any knowledge of good or evil or right or wrong, or up or down or left or right. I mean, they didn't know shit. And then he tempted them by putting something that they would be curious about. So apparently, he gave them curiosity. He didn't give them any fucking thing else, but he gave them exactly what they needed to fail his test, which seems like just a major setup. I mean, hell, the narcotics department couldn't set up a drug dealer any better than God set up Adam and Eve. I mean, it was a sure thing that they were going to fuck up, and they did. But so that's just deception right from the start, and then to show his anger control issues, you know, instead of doing something reasonable, like having a discussion with Adam and Eve about what they did, and trying to help them see that they made a mistake, even though it really wasn't because it was a setup. But instead of doing that, he condemned them and every single human that has ever been born since, or that will be born until the end, until the rapture. Excuse me. And in addition to that, to show some of his cruelty, he made woman have her monthly cycle and bleed for a few days. And on top of that, he made sure that she would have immense pain from childbirth. And, being that he was God, he could have eliminated all of that and could have made it orgasmic for her to have a baby, or, have her have a perpetual walking orgasm. Well, wouldn't that be fun? But he didn't do that. And then God is a homophobe. God hates fags. He fucking hates them. That's why it says in the Bible very clearly, and I don't understand how any homosexual, anybody that's gay or lesbian or transgender or whatever, I don't understand how they could even want to be a Christian, given the fact that God tells them that, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in Romans, it states that is the one sin for which there is no forgiveness. So if you're a fag, you're going to fucking burn in hell forever. God will never forgive you, and there's not even any point in asking for forgiveness. So I don't understand why gays would want to have any relationship with the church or God anyway. But God hates gays. And God absolutely is a narcissist. God created man for the sole purpose that they would worship God and obey every word that he said. And I'm just thinking that this guy that has all this much power, I think I'd rather do something like fucking race across the universe in a light speed hot rod. To me that just sounds a whole lot more cool than fucking around with a couple of people made out of dirt and ribs. And it just doesn't make any sense. But God so far is not stacking up to be a very emotionally and mentally well balanced individual. God is just absolutely violent as well. And his violence is shown in many places in the Bible, one of the worst of which is the fact that he murders by drowning every single man, woman, child, animal, bug. I don't know about fish, but I don't know about that part of it, but he killed everything because he was angry with man. And man, I tell you what, if I went around killing people every fucking time that I got angry, there probably wouldn't be anybody left. And that would just, I don't know about you, but I've been taught my entire life that is not the appropriate way to handle your anger. You don't kill people because you're angry, and then to further show God's violence, he ordered Moses and God knows who else to kill and murder and maim, men, women, children, animals, entire communities. And then on top of that, after he saves the Israelites from their persecution, he allows some other bunch of yahoos to come in and start killing all their children. They sneak in and get them, and then put them to death. And that just doesn't make any sense. He sure went to a whole lot of goddamn trouble to save their asses, to just then sit back on his ass and watch some other tribe kill all of his chosen people's kids. That just does not make any sense. There is no logic or reasoning to that. And besides the fact that ordering people to murder other people is just a very violent way to exist, in my opinion. And one other thing about God is, man, that son of a bitch has a real God complex. And I don't know why, because, his narcissism, his anger, his violence, his cruelty, and his deception and his control issues, he's a terrible individual. I mean, would you want to have this guy as your next door neighbor? And furthermore, would you even have anybody like this as a friend? Well, I'm going to answer for you, and I'm going to say no, because I know a whole bunch of you out there, and as far as I know, none of you have a friend like that. In fact, you would go out of your way to stay the fuck away from somebody like that. And so, I mean, God is a sick motherfucker. And he has been mind fucking mankind since he created mankind. Which, by the way, I'm not making that like it's a true statement. I mean, there is no God. God has never existed, doesn't exist now, never is going to exist. But I'm going with the assumption that that Christians believe that God is real, and so I'm going to say he is a sick motherfucker. And the shit, I mean, let's add something else. He sent his only son for people here among us to kill. And so he's so filled with love and compassion and mercy that he sends his son somewhere so that he can be murdered. And, God is absolutely not merciful. Absolutely, there is nothing in the Bible in any way that shows that God has ever been merciful. And not to show, there's nothing that shows that God is loving. In fact, the Bible is absolutely chock full of shit that shows completely the opposite. So my conclusion is, from a psychological standpoint, God is a paranoid, schizophrenic criminal.